What's up, guys? I don't have to tell you what day it is because you already know what day it is. It's Saturday. We're up here at the shop putting some finishing touches on this Audi RS6 twin turbo project before we put the engine back in the car for good. What's been a real challenge is to get the air into the compressor housings through the OEM locations. This car has two mass airflow sensors. It has an extensive air box that goes on top, covers the entire top of the engine. All that, they wanted to try to use all that. So we was gonna try to use some of the factory stuff that was on the motor, some of the cast pieces that directed the air, you know, or got the air to the turbos. But those pieces were only about 1 7/8 inches in diameter. And with, you know, around 1,000 horsepower, that's not gonna be enough air to feed the compressors. So we had to think of something, and our space constraints is tight is an understatement. So what we've got here is basically little carb hats for the turbos. These are 4.5-inch tubes. They have a 4-inch, or not a 4-inch, but another 4.5-inch ring that's inside of them that makes this about 1/4 inch thick right here where this red O-ring is. We have clamp down tabs right here that squeeze this hat down against this O-ring. This O-ring is rated to 500 degrees, by the way, so it should be good. And we have a 3-inch pipe coming off of it going up to where the original mass airflow sensors sit, which is right here. So rubber coupler will go on the mass airflow sensors, and then it'll go up into the air box off of both. And that should keep all the factory air box, all that stuff, where it appears OEM. So unless you look behind this engine, you're not even gonna know all this stuff is going on. And yeah, the internet gurus have already jumped on there and said, oh, you know, I don't think that's gonna work. Well, let's not worry about it not working until it doesn't, because this is the only way that air is gonna get into these turbos through the factory location, is to do it this way. The OEM was actually done that way. They had a very, very hard 90-degree, looked like a radiator hose, coming off the front of the turbos and going up to the original cast pieces that went into the mass airflow sensors. So this is more than twice the size of OEM anyway, and we're going to get a lot more air through these, and hopefully these turbos are probably going to have to work a little bit extra hard than they would if it didn't have nothing on them. But we trimmed the compressor housing down like 1/2 inch on the height. You know, tried to do a ton of different ways, and this is really the only way for the space constraints, because this side is very tight. You can see we've got maybe at less than 1/8 of an inch between the coolant hose and the hat. It all has to go together like a puzzle to even get the thing in there. The other side is not that difficult. We had a little bit more room on that side, but we wanted to try to make them match and be mirror image. So same concept on this side. Tried to put the tabs at the same locations as well. Yeah, I think it worked out good. You can see how much room we have on this side because this hose isn't going around the outside of the cylinder head here. So on this car, it's posed a lot of challenges because we have so many of these coming out everywhere, and there's no way you can really do away with them unless you're going to turn it into a full race motor, which they're still going to, you know, it's still going to be a street car, so it's got to keep all that stuff. If I haven't shown the headers since they've been welded, here's a quick overview of that. Yes, those collectors were a pain in the butt to weld. Most of these welded collectors like this, like you see on import turbo setups, Hondas, different things, the pipes are coming in at a bend like this, so they're going away from each other, so you can get in there and weld really good. Well, these are going like a standard header. So what I did is I assembled them on here and just looked at where I was gonna have the biggest gap all the way around. And on this side, this one I could see better all the way around. So what I did, I assembled this primary, that primary, and the inside primary there all together on the flange, fully welded them, everything all the way around. Then I come back and put this one on last, because I was able to stick my tungsten out and I could see enough around it, and I could get in from the underside at going straight. You're talking about sticking the tungsten out, you know, 2.5 inches to get down in there, but it's doable. You just have to really plan doing stuff like that. So got that done. Whenever I put these on, I actually had to I waited to put this I guess the tail end of it on, because after I welded all this up, of course it's going to pull just a little bit, don't matter how much you tack it and everything. With this Schedule 10 stuff, I'm really packing the filler in there, so the more filler you're pushing, the more you're getting it, you know, good and penetrated in there. It's going to pull a little bit, especially with these pipe fittings. I bevel them out really good, where I'm getting a good ditch to fill in, getting a lot of filler, a lot of engagement in there, making it strong. So I welded this on last to make sure that it didn't pull out of position. The wastegates here, I put a really big triangle gusset over top of the weld. I did that also on the inside. It's got a double gusset on each side. The wastegates are down right under the transmission, mirror image. You can take them off right here, and you can clock them if you need to, but this allows you to pull the engine without having to worry about breaking. I mean, you wouldn't break a pipe off, but you might bend it or put some stress on it, dragging the motor in and out the front like these do. So we put that 2-inch connection right there, so you could take these off. You can see our plan for the axle is going to come right down under the pipe. Got our motor mounts here, made last weekend. Done away with the OEM ones, made these lower profile chromoly tube ones. These actually raise the engine up about 1 inch from the OEM mounts to get the layback better, where the transmission ain't going into the exhaust. I don't know if the automatic transmission or what is the case is different, but the engine in this thing was just laid back really hard, and I didn't really like it. I addressed the concern whenever they dropped the car off, because that's the first thing I seen. So these mounts will allow me to get the exhaust down this way a lot better than the OEM ones anyway. There's the header on this side. But that's pretty much it. Next time you see it, it'll probably be in the car for good. Once I put it in there, I'm not going to pull it back out for the 11th time. So I think we're good enough on this to put it in and start running the exhaust if we have time. So it's been a cool project. It's definitely been time consuming. It doesn't look like there's a lot done, maybe compared to some of the other setups we've done, but there is a ton of hours right here, just because you can't just throw tubes together and throw this setup together without knowing it's going to fit in the car. And it's so tight in there, it's just nerve-wracking how tight it is. But we prevailed on this and got this done, and hopefully it's going to work out really good for them, because a setup like this on this particular car has never been done. These guys have searched for a long time trying to find out how they can do this, and we decided to take on the challenge, which after the car got here I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't have stuck my neck out there. But I love a challenge. It gets me out of my comfort zone, which makes me a better fabricator. Having to not necessarily your welding skill and stuff like that, but just being able to think outside the box, think your way through making something work, when your average person might say, well, you know, there ain't no way that can be done. There's a way that everything can be done. It's just whether or not you're willing to think about it hard enough to get it done. So anyway, that's about it. The next video, it'll be in the car. So have a good weekend.